Hey, how much more do you think you could see of DeAndre Swift? You really probably haven't seen him.
He's with you.
Yeah. How much more do you think you could see of Swift? Haven't we really seen him really get going a little more?
How much more? Are you talking situational? The reason why I'm asking because if I'm not mistaken, he had like 52 plays last game. So something to that point. More touches. Okay, yeah. So of course that's one of the things we work on every week. But you have to understand, of course, he's not the only guy out there that can do something with the ball. But he's a special guy, and we work as coaches trying to make sure we come up with a plan where we know we can get him a little more touches.
Anthony was talking about the hot hand, going to the hot hand. You look at Jamal and early in that game, he was really running well. Do you adhere to that theory as well?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think Coach Lynn nailed it. It's all about the hot hand, especially when it comes to running back. Because a running back can, he can start feeling it no matter what the situation is. And you see him out there breaking tackles, running hard like Jamal was. And he was definitely feeling it.
Down a couple of pretty important linemen this week, too, for sure, maybe 3. How does that impact what you guys are looking at?
Yeah, nothing changes our approach. We're still going to be aggressive. We still want to run the ball. It's the next man up mentality around here. And that's what Coach Dan has said. That's what we believe. And that's what we told the team. It's the next man up.
This is a really good front with Denell Hunter, and some of the stuff they do with the eight athletes is to attack. Do you have to call plays to your personnel, though, too? Does anything in the playbook change at all because you're missing maybe 60% of your starting offensive lineers? It's still strictly, this is what we do, we're going to do it.
Right. So, this defense has been aggressive and good for a very long time. Zimmer has been doing good things as far as with the packages, and you see it year in and year out. And he has the personnel. So these guys have been in the system for a while. So it's something that you definitely, you take notes on and you try to see what they're doing, but it's hard. So as an offense, we got to make sure, for one, we deal with the crowd noise. That's number one for us. Dealing with the crowd noise, getting out of the huddle, and, of course, executing.
I want to build on Dan uses the term eye candy a lot for what offenses are showing defenses, but it seems to me that's maybe an appropriate term too for what Zimmer does pre-snap. Eye candy showing a lot of different things. So with the backs in particular, we saw Swift have a couple pass pro reps and probably like back the last game.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you have to really focus on what they're seeing with their eyes and identifying things pre-snap to make sure they're in the best spots to make plays?
Very important. Very important. The first thing as a running back and center and the rest of the O-line is communication. So we got to make sure we're on the same page as communicating. So therefore, you got to get the signals, you got to get a call. Then we just talked about being loud. We got to make sure we're communicating with the quarterback. We got to make sure we're communicating with the guards. So communication is the first thing. Second thing, then once you get the communication, being able to go out there and protect. So, of course, we work on those things. That's number one for me. It's number one for the running backs, and they know that. So we just got to go out there and execute.
So when Swift gets that situation where he's got to pick up Khalil Mack, that's not how you want to design, right? I mean, that's obviously that's a job he's got to do when it happens, but it's ideally not the matchup you're hoping to get in a situation like that.
Right. Ideally, no. But if you go back and you watch the tape, he smacked him pretty good. And I was proud of that. I was like, hey, man, just hit him and move your feet. There are times during the game where it's not going to be as drawn. So, we draw up these pretty cards, we draw up these pretty plays, but then when something breaks down, you got to be able to still play. So that's what Swift did. He understood that his guy ran into the tackle, they ran a pick stunt. Now Swift was right there to get him. All right, is he overmatched? Of course, but you still got to fight.
So just, I guess a little more on the subject of his touches, DeAndre's touches. We saw him out in camp really the last 2 years fielding kicks and getting in the mix as a special teams guy there. Do you have a preference for not using someone who's so involved in the offense as a kick returner, or is that somewhere where maybe down the line you could get in?
Now, I don't have a preference. I just think if you're that type of player, you can go anywhere and touch the ball and make things happen. And I do believe he's that type of player, and he can return kicks. I know if Dan or myself or Coach Lynn asked him to go back there, or Coach Phip, he will go back there and he would do it.
That was what Gary's doing the hot hand time, right? Like all last week we were talking about Swift and between you and Dan, Anthony, like the talk was Swift is going to get more touches. Jamal comes out and runs the way he does. Now you want to go hot hand. What is the balance of sticking with what you want to do coming into the game versus kind of changing that up on the fly? How do you weigh those situations?
You still stick with the hot hand, but you still can keep them off guard by rotating them, making sure that those guys are, just creating that 1-2 punch. Still give the ball to Swift. Try to get him in space a little bit more because he's so dynamic in space. But you still give him the ball as a runner too. Throughout this league, when you think back to good 1-2 punches, sometimes that number one gets going and number two kind of falls in and kind of plays the role, and vice versa. Well, you just got to know how to get them in and out of the game in certain situations.
All right. What's your favorite 1-2 punch, Duce? There's so many good ones.
Man. I'm going to go old school a little bit, and I'm going to go Thunder and Lightning, Charlie Gardner, and Ricky Waters. That was a good one. All right, guys.